legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. Paul and I are heading out. We're in North Montgomery County. We have fallen in love with this region. We're going to do a new course today. We'll take some shots for you guys, but we're going to head out and get the K's in your legs. So I hope you get a chance to get out there.
On this ride, we did a new route and we ended up running into some challenges. Right at this part of the route, we're heading north on 1375, and we're trying to go to a town called Shiro, but we really didn't make it. In San Jacinto County there, we ran into a bunch of gravel roads called Pool Road. That's what you see right there at this point. And so right about here, we got back on some paved road. We ran into a Texas wagon train, which was really cool. Anyway, we ended up making it back, but we got to go back on Johnson Road and wrap up the ride. We were kind of pressed for time. That's why we went ahead and did the gravel trek. So it was a challenging ride, but it was a little slower. We couldn't backtrack because of time constraints.
In this park, the park is full of climbs. So within the park, we got climbs. Let me turn on this thing. It just popped in. Yeah. So right out of the gate, we got climbs. I'm in my small chain ring already. Got my white on. We gave the kid a break today. It's a cool morning. I think it's probably like 12C. 10 or 12C. Oh, it's cool. It's gonna warm up. This is just nice. So I got my arm warmers on. Put the team arm warmers on with my Sky jersey. Yeah.
That's nice.
Paul's got his core, Rafa core going. So this is our Rafa day. This is the little incline here. So as we turn, it goes from -1 to, let's see if the grade picks up. It says 0 right here. It's gotta be nice picking up. 3%, 3.6. Yeah. We like riding out here now because there's not much stopping going on. So we've got a course mapped out that should give us a good workout. 7:49, that's good. I want to get back around noon. Melissa wants to go someplace, she said. She told me last night.
Yeah, on this ride we had a time constraint. I needed to get back around noon. My wife had something she needed to do.
Just to support you when you're walking around?
Yeah.
I think your body was just tired. I think,
You know, Paul's telling me that he put a sleeve on his knee when he's not riding.
With the bike
to support
my
it.
knee was acting twitchy at the end of the ride.
Yeah.
It had been cool that morning.
So when it's cool in the morning, it bothers my knee
That's why
too.
it's good to cover your knee. But it's gonna warm up quickly on this ride. I looked at the weather, and in an hour we're gonna be in the 60s.
So it's not an issue on this ride because it's scheduled to warm up in a hurry. It ends up jumping to like 20-something C
It's gravel.
in less than 2 hours. It's one of these mornings where you definitely want to use arm warmers, things that you can shed. I kind of run hot, so in less than 2 hours I start taking stuff off. I hand the camera to Paul here. That noise you're hearing, that little grinding noise of the cars when they go over the yellow line, they have little ripples. If you look at the white line next to my bike, they're almost like little bubbles, and they're very easy to go over. I really like what they did out here. They're not hard at all. They're just soft bumps. But when the cars go over the yellow line, you hear that like a sound like you're going over a washboard per se. little bit of debris here I'm pointing out of the ball. And you basically start out here in rolling hills, so just enjoying the downhill here. It's a bit nippy. It's always cooler up north.
Yeah, it is on. Yeah. Yeah.
The jersey I'm wearing is a limited edition jersey that Rafa designed to commemorate the relationship with Sky when Sky was leaving the agreement. So it has all the badges from all the races that Sky won. That's what you see down the middle of the back and on the pockets. All their major wins while they were in contract with Rafa. So it was a one-off limited edition jersey that sold out quickly. So I got me a copy. They're perfect for this kind of weather. They're for mild, let's see, cool to mild conditions. Once it gets above 24C, you really don't want to wear it because it's merino wool. It's not elastane or polyester. So it's a heavier jersey. You know, very classic feel to it.
Look at the dogs waiting for us, man.
Yeah, we got a couple of dogs up here that are sitting, and I start to talk to them.
Don't even think about it.
They really didn't have our time. We thought they were waiting for us, but they were doing something else right there. There's a couple of dogs over there, and I'm talking to them to get their attention so they don't run out in front of us.
I am not in the mood.
And they're just going in that pasture there.
Good boy.
So Paul must have rolled over the white line there. That's where you saw the camera bounce. So it's not very uncomfortable going over it, but you don't want to ride on it. You know, so they did a good job. I like what they did out here because they're not using those reflectorized caps that they place on some highways. These are more comfortable to roll over. And we're just easing into the ride, and so the key here is just to get your body kind of going. That's all it's about. So our plan today was to ride about, I think 90 kilometers or something. We ended up shortening it because we basically ran out of time. Because I had to get back by noon. That was the plan anyway. Because my wife needed me back around that time so she could take off. She had something she was doing. We ended up not being able to do a backup. You know, we ran into gravel roads and we just pretty much had to keep going because it was headed in the direction we needed to go. On the map, you can't really tell. The maps are not very good at identifying unpaved versus paved road. So, you know, so we got to learn a lot from this ride, and we're going to improve upon the course because there are some interesting historical towns like Shira I want to visit. There was like the Indian settlement back in the day, in the early 1900s. One of the youngest towns in the area. It's very small, and we just will probably go through there. But that we'll save that for next week. But we ran into the gravel, and then we ran into a bunch of trail riders, like a wagon train, which I thought was really neat.
On a road called Osborne Road. Another hidden gem.
This is a road that takes us kind of northeasterly towards 1375. We had used 1375 when we rode to New Waverly a few weeks back. We've never been on this road. It cuts through part of the national forest. But man, it turned out to be very neat, very quiet. You You can see the trees almost growing together over the road. So this is a great road we plan to use when it gets hotter. In the summer, it will be great to ride out here because you definitely will have shade, because all the trees will be in full bloom. And then with them being over the road like this, it's always cooler on these kind of roads. So we pretty much could ride out here every day and not have to hit the same roads. That's how much variety there's out here. So this is our first excursion on this road. Now, at this point in the ride, we're still loosening up. I'm just sitting here, and I think in a little while I get something to eat because it's almost 30 minutes into the ride. I try to make sure I eat some solids early before we really start riding. And there's a bunch of rollers on this road. I think we encountered 2 cars the whole time we're on this road. And it was quite a while. And both of them are going in the opposite direction. So these descents crept up on us. We did not expect them. You'd be going, and then all of a sudden, you find yourself going down here. You can see I'm not even pedaling. That's the first car we encountered, and I think we encounter one more right before we get off this road. I give Paul some room here as the speeds increase. The pavement in certain spots a bit patchy. You can tell they laid down pavement and really haven't been back to maintain it much. The roads that are not heavily traveled, they're not usually kept up with. But the pavement was decent. Yeah, this is where I get something to eat. I'm having a granola bar. You want to get something to eat before the intensity goes up on your ride. It's best to eat while you're in your endurance zone. Once you're going hard, when I'm going really hard, I'd much rather use gels. The reason being is when you're going hard, you need all your energy focused on riding, not digesting food. This is why we come out here. I mean, we've been riding for a while on this road, and no stop sign, no nothing. You go for miles. So you can get a great workout out here. You can keep your effort high and don't have to worry about it falling because you come to a stop sign or other obstructions. So all these excursions, we're going to learn from it, and then we're going to put different courses. We're going to clean up the courses. So after I got back, I redesigned this course to avoid the gravel road that we had run into. And so next week we're going to try a new part of it and try to get the Shiro by using the back roads. We don't want to spend too much time on the main highways. We only use them when we have no other choice. That's why we're running into gravel roads, because the roads are on the map and they lead us there, but we don't know they're not paved. And our bikes are not gravel bikes. They're not designed for riding on loose soil, as you will see. And it can cause you to fall when those tires start cutting through the sand. They're okay if the pavement is hard, whether it's on pavement or not. But when it's soft and loose, you don't want to take the chance. Most of the loops out here, the way we like to do them, they average 3.5 to 4 hours. So since I know we're going to be here for at least 3.5 hours, I'm eating for hour 3. Because I have breakfast, but I'm just getting something in my system within the first hour for the ride. If you look on the right and left, you see all the burn. It looks like there's been a fire. Those are controlled burns. They get rid of all the kindling as it gets warmer.
This is another section of the National Forest. See, they had a controlled burn.
They want to make sure that as it gets hotter, the chances of kindling.
Get rid of all the kindling.
Yeah, they don't want things to spontaneously burn or have somebody drop a cigarette. So the forest fires are an issue, and they're trying to just prevent them. So all the dead stuff, they come and they burn them. And it prevents things from getting out of hand. Because we do get them in this area sometimes. So this is 1375. We're going to go north here. If you went south, we'll go towards New Waverly. We're going to go north. We'll go left. So Paul says it's clear. And the pavement is not super smooth. You can see the little ridges, like little spots in there, a little bouncy. You can hear the rattling of the camera. I tried to fix the audio. I dubbed it down as much as I could. That's why it sounds muted, because it was a lot louder than that. The camera was bouncing around. I'm standing, I don't know if you can tell from my shadow. We're on a grade. So I've got the camera next to the hoods and I'm just standing, keeping the gear rolling. I'm gonna sit back down and we'll resume. This is a major US highway, so the speeds are higher. I think it's 65 or 70 or something. But you get one car every few minutes. It's lightly traveled. This road takes us west towards Richards, but we don't want to go to Richards today. We're going to do a detour and deviate and go up a road 1791 that will take us northeasterly towards Shiro, and we end up having to get off the route because one of the roads on our route starts out where it meets the highway as a gravel road, so we recalculate and try to pick another road, but then it ended up that even though that road was initially paved, it ended up turning into gravel later on. And so we ended up walking for several miles because we really couldn't ride. So here's the intersection of 1375 with 149. We're gonna turn right here. You can hear the camera bouncing on the side of the brake hoods. Once we turn on this road, it gets quiet because it's nice and smooth. It's amazing the difference. So I've already had something to eat. Paul's reaching for something. I think in a short while I go ahead and roll to the front. Right here, I'll go ahead and move around them.
So as we hit the climb, I drop my gear, 2 cogs.
It's a nice steady climb here. Pretty mild, about 2 to 3%.
Since it's a long climb, you gotta settle in.
Since we've just come off a rest week, we're ramping up the intensity gently. So today's ride is just the plan was to be steady.
But we found some new road. We're lost.
This is the road we ended up taking because our initial road started out. The road on our route that we're supposed to take to head west is gravel at the highway. So we detoured and found this one that was paved. We just headed in the same direction, just a few miles up. And so right now we're headed westerly, which is where we want to go. And we were hoping the road would be paved the entire way, but it didn't turn out to be that way. It's very bumpy, so Paul held the gimbal off the bars. That's what he's talking about. This road's called Preston Road. It ended up, the pavement continued to get worse as we rode it until we basically ran into gravel. So it was an interesting excursion. Preston Road goes into a road called Pool Road, and that was a road that was just totally unpaved for miles.
Yeah.
And really
I'm
not
still comfortable,
rideable
believe it or not.
unless you got real big tires, mountain bike tires. So it's too much sand. And our tires just cut through the sand. It's warm, so I'm basically I took off my hat and I'm putting my helmet on and clipping back in. I keep my sunglasses over my helmet straps. I don't like them under the straps because they affect how my helmet feels. And so I have to take off my glasses whenever I remove my helmet. I take off my glasses first because they're over the straps. I'm pulling off the arm warmers because it says 16C, but it feels warmer.
It's hot.
Yeah.
It feels close to 20C, like it's like
Look at that
20C.
road.
Warmed up quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at it.
And it doesn't take long for me to
These
get
are like baby
hot.
corns compared to the stuff we've been dealing with.
Yeah.
That highway has some nice fun.
Mm-hmm.
The highways are not that interesting usually.
We're talking about 1791.
Yeah.
It's a highway that we took.
Surprise!
It ended up being very interesting.
Nice road though.
Yep. Smooth. The beginning was a little bit rough.
It's gotta connect to something.
Hey, boys!
You guys start kissing off.
We're messing with these cows. I told them, I said, be careful, these cows are aggressive.
I got lots of footage of you on that road, Osborne Road.
Oh, yeah?
The camera was on the whole time from the time we turned.
Really? I thought you put it away.
Put it away before we got there.
Okay.
When we turned on Osborne Road, that dog was coming in the yard there. We turned it on after we turned. We kept it on until we got to actually 149.
149.
When I told you that the gimbal had gone limp.
Yeah.
The bouncing on that highway opened the battery door.
Wow.
The battery door is down there. It has a clip that you're supposed to push up.
Right.
And I thought it was in clip. I guess I didn't put it. Yeah, it's on the bottom. See it?
Yeah. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I had to use my finger and push it up. That's the way you close it. I guess I didn't close it well enough. Keep your eye on it.
Yeah, Paul didn't know that the camera was on Osborne Road. I was letting him know. It was on the whole time.
So we got the entire Osborne Road all the way to 1791 when the battery came out
Okay.
at that field.
Okay, that's good footage.
Yeah. Footage. I aimed right there, right there.
This is a nice road, man. I'm surprised.
It's a lot smoother than that highway.
He's waving over there.
It's a lot smoother than that highway.
Yep. Very.
The farmer was waving at
Oh,
us.
look at that. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the road goes up. From the distance, it looked impressive, but once we got there, it wasn't much of a grade.
I remember seeing that road, Hill Road.
Yeah, that hill road you just passed doesn't really go anywhere. It dead ends in about a quarter mile. There are so many roads out here that the plan is every time we come out, we're going to take different roads and eventually get a bunch of different courses.
Morning.
This dog here is just in the yard barking. He does not move. He just barks. Very well behaved. Did not come on the road.
Yeah. He's a discipline.
So you can see the pavement is getting worse. And that's a concern of mine as I'm watching. I'm like, man, I hope it stays paved.
Yeah.
Some of them are not paved, but I think some of them are not paved for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you start out with a paved road near the highway. As you go in, it becomes unpaved. Our initial route, the road met the highway unpaved, so we didn't bother taking that. That's how we ended up here. And I kind of have a general idea of where we are. I just know we need to head west.
I know it's between 45.
That's what I'm telling Paul. Highway 45 is to the right, and 149 is to the left. Keep the sun at your back. Early in the morning, you're heading west. So notwithstanding the directional heading stuff on the GPS, you can pretty much know what direction you're going depending on the time of day.
Hard to see these little roads. They don't have too many intersections.
Right.
So since we're investigating, we're not really focused on intensity at this point. We're more concerned about where is this thing going. What I like about these kind of roads is you can just ride them. You're not competing with a lot of traffic, and that's what this is about. So within the next month or so, we'll have this whole area down. But I got back and I redid the course.
It's a statue over there. They put on it.
Yeah, there's a little statue sitting by the side of the road. We didn't get a good shot of it, what Paul was trying to call my attention to. But I redo these courses after we come back and eliminate the current gravel roads. And then as we continue to ride out here, once they improve and they start paving stuff, we'll just add them back in. So we have so many roads to choose from that I'd much rather take this chance and find these quiet little gems that'll just be on the main highway, competing with those fast cars that pass from time to time. So it's just a price you have to pay to discover new routes. So it's worth it. So with our 28 on the rear, I had a 23 on the front on this one. But the 28 on the rear really smooths out these bumps. You can see I'm out of the saddle. It's so bumpy, no point. Now you see it becomes gravel. Now, I don't mind it if it stays hard. The problem is it got softer. We can ride this like this, but it just continued to get wet, so much sand. So right here we have to stop.
Wow. In the direction we need to go. Let's check it out. You want to get lost? We're lost, man.
Yeah.
But Paul had been saying he wanted to get lost.
We're in the middle of nowhere. Look at the road. We're having to walk because our wheels are going in the dirt and it's going to cause you to fall. So we're trying to avoid falling because there's nothing but sand.
This is almost what, about a mile or two now?
Probably 2 miles. We've been walking for a bit. I've been clipped in partially, and so we're trying to get to hard surfaces because these tires are just not.
I mean, I know this road does not end because I've looked at the map, but I just didn't know it was unpaved. This is called Pool Road. It's on the map. It's an official road, and it connects.
Right.
But we had no way of knowing until we got out
So
here.
our tires are just cutting through the dirt.
Yeah. You can see it right here.
Yeah, look at my tire beneath the sand. That's what will cause you to fall. It grabs it and stops you.
It's just going through. You can't ride that. It will cause you
So
to fall.
I was partially clipped in, just pushing on my right leg. I did it for so long, my right leg was
Other side
burning.
looks really hard because that's a hill.
It was like a
sand
workout.
can't last on the hill. It probably rolled down. You know what I mean?
And it got warm. It's really warm here. Things like 23 C. It feels like, 23, 24 C. The sun's beating down
The
on
real
us.
road we're supposed to take on the highway, it was unpaved, so we decided to detour, and we found a paved road that led to this unpaved area.
Oh, man.
What?
I got a bee.
In your helmet?
Yeah. I felt it. I won't
I
bother
don't think
it.
it went in. So you got that
We
hat on.
encountered a lot of bugs. You're going to see in a little
Yeah.
bit.
Hit on.
The bugs are just flying around our heads.
Watch these rocks that are coming. Watch for your cleats.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is terrible, man. You need a pavement. I mean,
You can't ride because as soon as you move, your front wheel gets caught. I definitely don't want to fall on these little rocks.
For real.
One shows up on the map, but it's not
The only drag about this is the gravel chews up the bottom of your shoes. It can chew up your cleats, so you just got to be careful.
It looks like a little creek. So you know it floods here. But that explains the sand.
And how do they get around here when it rains and this road is underwater?
You have to bring a rock out of the car. That's all I'm saying. Remember the
Yeah, right. Use a four-wheel drive car. This is nothing but sand. That's why we're not riding. It may seem hard, but it's not. You got a few hard patches, and then you just get into the sand, and it grabs your wheel.
Because it will probably last a little bit and then...
Yeah. Get softer again.
So I clip one foot in, push off, push off. I mean, that was hard to do. We did that for miles. Paul's walking. I'm pushing off. I'm trying to avoid walking too much. The shoe that you see on the left side is unclipped. But when I got back, the clear coat on the carbon had been like chewed up by the little rocks. Wasn't too bad, but no more gravel roads for me.
Out here is the reason these roads are not paved. The county doesn't have the funds.
And you see the bug flying around Paul's head. We had a bunch of bugs. That's probably what he was saying. It was a bee. It looked like a bee. I don't know what it was, but it's a good sized bug.
Yeah.
Right there. You know? So I'm walking now because it's just so much sand. The good thing is it's dry sand. It hadn't rained in a while. And so it doesn't stick to your cleat. I didn't have my cleat covers because we didn't plan on walking today.
There is a grade here, as you can see it.
It's about a 2% hill there. We've been walking. We're walking up a hill. This would be a beautiful road if it was paved because it's up and down. Look behind us, up and down. Nice rollers.
Yeah.
So I speeded up here for time. I mean, we walked for at least 3 miles. We were there for a while. This is where we lost a lot of time, and we could not go to Shiro, Texas as we had planned. So I've cleaned up the map. We should be able to do this next time. I want to go to Shiro. It's an interesting little town. I read the history. A lot of stuff happened there back in the day. It used to be an Indian settlement. You can see me using my one leg, pushing off. I didn't want to walk, but I couldn't ride because every yard or so your wheel would just dig in. I almost fell a few times. So right up here got a little harder, but then as soon as you go a little bit, you ran into soft stuff again. You can see I never clipped in. I just kept pushing off. So because of what I did, as long as we walked, I didn't tear up my cleats.
We're finally getting off this gravel road. And I'm being very careful because it got hard back there and then now it's soft here again. And we finally got a paved road here.
And where I'm going through right now is a mix.
Came across an unpaved section of the route I had laid out. And we probably should have just stayed on that one. So we got off course because we came to a gravel road that was on the course. On the map, you can't really tell. And we decided we're going to try something else. And then we started with a paved road that ended up linking to unpaved roads. So it's been an adventure. So we're going to have to improvise to get back at a decent time. Let's go ahead and find our way. Oh, gosh.
So this road here that we're on is still called the Pool Road. And it goes in a curve.
Adventure.
It curves and becomes Bay's Chapel Road. We had thought it was called William Hoke Road, but it's not.
The only good thing about it is it was dry sand, so nothing stuck under the cleats. We just try to avoid those rocks, a lot of rocks. I'm hoping that this will link us back to our route. We're going in the right direction. We kind of know where we are, but we're not familiar with all these roads.
We're headed west, and we're going to need to go south. So this road was perfect.
Oh, gosh.
It was a little further north than our original route.
No kidding, man. I mean, this sucks. But the thing is, they got paved road leading to unpaved road.
It took us a while to walk 3 miles and mess around like we did. So, because you're not really walking normally.
We're gonna have to improvise to get back.
My white shoes had dust all over it.
Today,
so
because we lost so much time here.
But once we got rolling again here, everything was cool. But because I needed to get back, we could not do a rerouting to where we went back. We had to keep going on the same course.
What I'm trying to do is get back to go back to Bethel Road, take that side of it, and come back on Johnson. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So somehow we need to get back to 1097.
So in trying to salvage the ride,
to Bethel Road,
we're coming up with options that will get us to Johnson Road. We want to take Johnson Road back to the park.
Get back to where 1791 meets Bethel Road. We gotta get back there because this thing has thrown us off course. I'm not even touching my shoes. It's brown.
My shoe is dusty from all that walking.
Wipes to clean a little bit off before I put it in the bag. But hey, we have paved road again. Now look at that. Look at that bridge. You see that? The bridge is unpaved. How is the bridge unpaved? That means they've been putting something else out here.
They added some culverts.
Look at all the holes from the water. That creek has been tearing this place up. So they're adding culverts. Good thing is, this looks hard. So unweight your tires. So the way we ride this is you take the weight off the tires and you keep it on the pedals so that those rocks don't give you pinch flats. Yeah, the creek is wreaking havoc when it rains. Look at this thing here. It's like a rut.
So you unload the tires when you go through rocks and gravel.
I'll take this.
By putting the weight on the pedals.
These 23s are cutting through that thing like a hot knife
and you
through
use
butter.
low cadence.
Welcome this gravel road. It's hard walking in
on
these
rough
cleats.
surfaces. That's not where you
We spent about 2 miles or more walking because we couldn't ride. It would have been too risky. Literally, we would have fallen.
So after all that walking, we're trying to get back into riding again.
Yeah, we got it.
Get our legs to remember we came out here to ride, not walk.
Man, there's got to be a way to identify the gravel roads. The map needs to show that.
When the pavement is rough, you lower your cadence, you increase your gear.
And they're using Google
It gives you
Maps,
more
so
stability.
That's like the most updated.
When you're riding cobbles or rough surfaces.
So this road that we're on, I don't even see names for these things. Oh, give it a break. Stupid dog. Really?
I'm harassing the dogs. They're barking at us. I'm like, really?
Yeah, oh yeah, now we're back in a real county. See the difference? Look at the road, guys. Montgomery County, look at this.
That's the county line.
Look at what we just left.
That's the county line. Walker and Montgomery. You can see who spends money on the roads.
Gosh. Walker County, man, they should be ashamed.
They just don't have the tax base, I believe.
That we went, that's where Willis and the other guys are. That's why those horses were looking at us funny. Where are you guys going? Nobody comes out here.
We passed a bunch of farms and the horses were looking at us like, what are you doing out here?
Yeah, it's farm country here.
I think shortly after this we come across a trail ride.
All the manure.
Where, this is like middle of nowhere business here. I mean, we usually,
it's been an adventure.
You usually don't see trail riders out here, except for the rodeo when they come into Houston for the rodeo in February, I believe.
This guy's got his look like the trail riders or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a horse.
I ended up having to do some creative photography
I'm just saying, it looks like the
in the studio to enhance
the rodeo,
the sizing of the frame because
when they come into town.
We couldn't get close. I didn't want to get too close. I didn't want to startle those horses.
Man, look at the size of these guys. The camera doesn't do them justice.
Those are the cows on the left.
Man, these cows here look like they've been working out on steroids.
Yeah, these cows are huge. It's just the camera doesn't. So there's a guy in the middle of the road on a horse.
Yeah.
Letting us know there's more people coming. So we basically end up stopping. I didn't want to get close to the horse.
Go ahead and stop. I don't want to startle the horse. No problem.
It tells us then when we see the trail riders.
trail riders. Yeah, that's why I told you those trail riders.
Yeah, it's a big one, man.
Yeah. Trail riders.
Get
I hope-
closer so you're gonna film it.
Well, I don't want to startle the horse.
Yeah, Paul's
let me
suggesting
move
I
over to
get
the
closer,
left
so
here.
I move over to the left.
I don't, some of these horses get spooked.
I didn't want to get close.
I'm sure they'll be able to see.
Yeah, this is where I enhanced the picture during production here, and I basically increased the frame size. I didn't get closer. It
Yeah,
kind of like
they
a
got
zoom in a way.
The saddle.
So I thought, oh, this is not bad.
This is cool, man.
You're Texas, man.
This is Texas.
So that road that they're going on, that's the road that goes to Shiro, Texas.
Come over on this side.
So that's the road. Next week we're gonna check out that road. It's good to know it's paved. It's Highway 233. They call it. It's got a name. All these roads have numbers and names. I think it's Red Top Road or something like that.
That's when they have the rodeo. That's how these guys, they ride all the way to the Astrodome.
Yeah. Look at the muscles of those horses.
Yeah, man. And
So-
they eat only plants.
William Holt Road is the one on the
Look
left.
at the muscles on them. They eat only
On
plants.
the left, that's William Holt.
That's a
We
bunch of
thought
people,
this
man.
one was. This is Bays Chapel Road. We end up seeing a little kid here that's handling a horse.
Costa's
There
in
she
them.
is with a white shirt. I think I froze it right there. She's probably 6 or 8 years old on that big horse.
You did the show.
And she just, look at
You
her.
did the show.
Look at that.
She's got a big old horse.
Yeah, no kidding. I wonder where they're going. What is the name of that road over there? It says
It's a red,
Red Top Road.
Red
Okay,
Top
that
Road.
was
That's Highway 233. That goes to Shiro, Texas.
and that one says William something.
William
Yeah,
Holt.
we'll just
William
keep
Holt
going
is the one on the left. We thought
Yeah,
it was
I
this
wanna
one
go
going
back. I
straight.
wanna stay
This
in
is
Montgomery
Bays
County.
Chapel.
These guys coming straight?
This
Okay.
car is trying to go straight. We ended up in the middle of the trail riders. So we end up going
Let's move.
off the road because there's a car over here waiting. So we get off the road so this thing can get by because there's not enough room. It's towing the
I think
trailer.
they're stopping. I think they're stopping.
I thought he was stopping, but a couple of ladies in there. We're in middle of farm country here.
Okay.
So they get by.
This is cool. I hope these guys enjoy this. We ain't doing much riding today.
There's the state flag, the Lone Star
Yeah,
flag.
Lone Star.
Texas.
That's the state flag, guys. That's the state flag. Yeah, he's about 8
There's
or
a little
10,
8-year-old
maybe
boy
less.
on a horse there.
That guy's sneezing. Something bothering
The
his
horse
nose.
is sneezing, the white one. And look at this guy, look like
almost
Clydesdale.
a Clydesdale. Yeah, that's what they call him, I think. Clydesdale.
So there was a trail ride going on. It had
awesome, man.
signs. We saw some signs on the side of the road later.
Yeah.
And this horse he's just turning, in a circle. The horse is restless.
They got those things on their eyes so they're not
blinders.
startled.
Yeah.
The horses are wearing blinders.
They have them in Austin and will give you rides on the horses that cover their eyes so they won't be startled.
So they don't get startled. You don't want to approach a horse from the side. He wanted him to see you coming.
Look at this guy
So
making
this can
circles
scare
with the
him.
Yeah, well, the horse is restless, so he's just keeping it occupied.
Wow. Look at some of them they have a beer in the hand.
Yeah, they have drinks and stuff and
Just
just enjoying themselves.
having a blast.
So that's the road to Shiro, Texas. 233.
That's a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on that they're riding to.
Yeah.
And because these roads are so lightly traveled, they can do stuff like this out here. That's what I like about out here. This is great.
Wow. That's the end of it?
Keep it running. Let this guy go. Just working this intersection. Give me a place to sink. I take all the intersections.
That's why we come out here.
Yeah.
They help me.
It's farm country, rolling hills. It's quiet.
You guys can
These
go.
people are not rushing anywhere. Everybody's just Easy going.
Okay, you too.
Easy going. I love this.
We asked for an adventure and we got it, man. Oh, get a trail ride. On a bike ride.
I said, be careful what you wish for, man. Yeah. 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 That's why I was telling you, look.
So that's the road to Shiro, Texas. We will be checking that out later.
We can't go to Shiro today.
No.
We're wasting too much time down here. But look at what we got. You see? That's what I'm saying. These guys on my height. I thought you said it was a beautiful day. You never know.
You never know.
You never know what hand you're dealt every day. I like these surprises. It was nice. It was just nice. But I've, haven't been that close to a trail ride in a long time.
Yeah.
This is Bays Chapel Road, and so now we're back in civilization per se, in a county that paves all its roads, and we're headed south. And this will take us to 149, and we eventually end up rerouting.
Look at this road.
Yeah.
This road ended up being very interesting. We were able to ride for probably 20 minutes to abreast. I mean, it was just amazing. We ended up falling in love with this road because it's got some awesome climbs on it. Real long, 4 to 6% thereabouts. Mostly 4%ers, but just repeated. You can see right here.
Look at this, boys. Look at this. Look at this gem that we found. Move over on this side of the road. Look at that thing. Look at that road,
You
boy.
can see that road in the distance,
talking
almost
about.
between the trees, like it's going up to the level of the trees.
What is the name
Once
of
you
this
get
road
closer,
again?
it's not as
William Hope
impressive.
or something.
But
Yeah.
from a distance, I was like,
We gotta
man,
keep
this
it
is
until we
sweet.
come to the intersection so I can see
And
it.
the surface
Man.
of this road is sweet.
This is sweet.
And then it's
We've been
quiet.
riding to a brush road. Time on end, no cars.
Yeah, the whole
Like an
time since the
alternate
trail ride,
universe.
we've been side by side.
One dog, he stood no chance. We smoked it.
Yeah.
No stop sign, no cars. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that thing there. Oh, this is just, man, this is in our backyard. We've been sitting around, riding around.
So we will definitely be visiting this road again. It's a keeper. I have marked it.
Not even bothering us.
It's a nice find.
Yeah.
It's between major highways, nice and quiet. That's why we venture out, because this is better than being on a highway that has
Leave it alone. They'll
cars
fight it.
zooming by you at high
They
speed.
cut the grass too much. My neighbor's grass, you can see the dirt. 3 weeks I haven't touched mine. Our yards look the same. My grass looks better.
Yeah, we're
My grass
talking
looks
about
like
these people
carpet.
out here and nobody's watering or anything, and their lawns just look
Because
great.
I'm not fussing with it. They're
'Cause
cutting the grass too
they're
low.
not hassling.
When it gets hot, it will dry up.
Yeah. My
'Cause you can see the roots.
neighbor's grass is so low right now. The guys that cut the grass, they cut them too low.
Then they will go buy dirt and put it over it.
They create,
Instead of
they
leaving the
create
grass alone, let it
problems
grow.
more than anything.
This is when you let them grow. In the summer, you just maintain.
I think right about here we begin this climb. Yeah, see 1%. That's the climb we saw in the distance. We're on the climb here. See, it goes
3.6
just,
right here.
it goes there
Then the
quickly.
next one.
There's another one in the
What these guys
distance.
do to come ride? You see how much
Sweet.
sprinting they do. Look at that bad boy, man. Looks like a snake. Now that's a climb.
We're still on the climb. It might say
And look at those
1%
birds
and then 0,
hovering
but
around.
it's undulating.
Don't worry, we're gonna make it up those hills. They're hovering. Look at them. Something died out here.
Yeah, those there's a couple of vultures. If you look towards the sky,
Bugs out
yeah, there they are,
Big one.
spinning. The two of them just hovering. Like there was some animal.
I wonder if this thing would get that big bird up there just hovering. Vultures. The cleaners. Look at this bad boy. We're on the climb. It kicked in. 2.3 right here. 0 to 2.3, 2.9, 3.6. Wow, 4%, 4.6. Oh yeah. Now
Yeah,
we're talking. Now, this
the
is a
climb was one where it would go from 2% to 4.5% like
5%.
that. It was just biting.
5.2.
So I think I'm standing here.
Oh yeah, William Holt. We got to take this one and save it.
It's a tough, quiet road, long climbs, just perfect place for a workout.
It's
So
hovering
it's a
between
good,
4 and 6.
good discovery.
Back down to 4. It's getting less. You climb.
And it's not heavily traveled by cyclists. I don't think a
That's
lot
what
of
I'm
them
talking
venture out
about.
here. I can see why with the gravel roads nearby.
What else you gonna be doing on a Saturday morning, huh? Cartoons? Come on, get real. You can do that at midnight. Cartoon Network's 24 hours.
So after the gravel
still climbing.
excursion, the road,
What road is
this
this?
road was a welcome sight.
This is
Hoke Road. I remember that name. It's one of the roads. Let's just keep going on this one. It's
Yeah,
one
that
of the roads
Hope
that was on
Road
the
does
map.
not, it's a loop. It does not really go anywhere. It loops around.
We're heading south, so that's good. We're heading south.
So there's Bay's Chapel
South
Road.
southwest, we're good. Want to find 149 or 1791. Hope Road. I'll come up to you. Look at the battery, see how much it is. You know how you can look at the front? Look at the front, look at the picture.
okay. This one, I was looking at the gimbal
Turn
first.
to you.
Yeah, we have just like a quarter left there.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
We're checking the battery to make sure that we have enough power, or if we end up changing the battery before we get to Johnson Road, because I wanted to definitely get clips on Johnson Road.
Right. Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the gimbal.
So after this excursion, we come across a couple of riders from Switzerland.
You know, I had in my back wheel.
And she's telling me about her experiences with self-maintenance of her own bike, how much money she saved. They had a hub that had a problem.
The bushing. Okay, actually in the hub.
So that was $12 instead of $700. So
Good for you.
She said for them doing their own repairs, $12 for the
Yeah.
part instead of paying $700 for a new set of wheels. They were able to revive the wheel by just changing the bushing in the hub.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I can't stand click, click, click.
Yep.
So her partner in front here did the repair.
Well, have a great day.
You too. We're just gonna tag back here. We're heading back to West Montgomery. Okay, you too. Yeah.
So they said goodbye. They said have a good day because they had come up on us. We were chatting, and they had come up on us before we got to Johnson Road fairly easily. So they just assumed we're still going to keep our effort low. And so that's why they said goodbye. So I just decided we would just sit behind them and ride Johnson Road. I thought they were going to put on a blistering pace. That's why they said goodbye. But I think it was because that they caught up to us fairly easily. We were kind of we'd stopped, changed the battery on the camera, and we're just kind of chatting when they caught up to us. And this is Johnson Road, and you can see the climb in the distance. It goes up and to the left. It ended up not being as challenging as I had remembered. So I don't know. Maybe the climbs are getting easier for me, or they just used to be harder years ago. But you know, you guys can see me on my bike. This is what I talk about, a fit. I'm able to cheat the wind. You know, I'm a big guy, so I go down hills pretty quickly. I'm 190 pounds, about 88, 89 kilos. And with all the crap in my pocket, probably 92 kilos. Who knows? But I gain a lot of ground. I make up ground on the descent as well. And so by being aero, I can slice through the wind. You can see how we caught up to them. But the plan was to just sit and ride and see what they would be doing. Because when they said goodbye to us, I thought, wow, you know, these guys are from Switzerland. They're going to fly up this climb. Well, it didn't end up being the case. This guy in the front had actually done the RBC, and he said he did the 67-mile segment of it. And so we told him, yeah, we did the long one. His wife made a joke about she cut her short by staying in bed. And she said I wasn't going to deal with that wind. So she never went out there that day. It was a cold morning. And so right about here, I'm expecting them to go a lot faster because they had said goodbye to us. And once I realized that this was the pace that we're going to hold, I think I end up going on the big chain ring because Johnson Road just didn't seem as difficult. I guess we've been doing a lot of those hard climbs in Anderson, and we're kind of spoiled, I guess, because I thought it was going to be a lot more intense. You can see the look up there. This whole time is up and down. It goes up, then it goes to the left. And so he's going to the front here. But it ended up, the grades just didn't seem as difficult. So we're going to have to look for some 8 to 10% climbs. We're going to have to go to Chapel Hill. There's an area called Chapel Hill. They got some serious climbs out there. I think I'm on the big chain ring here. And probably in a 23 on the back or something like that. You can see my cadence is up. This is the part of Johnson Road that is deceiving. When you're coming the other way, you're rolling downhill, but this is a climb the whole way. You can see it goes from 0 to 3%. It just gets there. If you're not in the right gear, it can throw you off.
Car back.
But Paul says car back, and what I do is these guys have mirrors on their helmets. I have mirrors. I've tried them in the past. I've never been able to get them to work. For me anyway, I just don't trust them. I think I've talked about it in other videos. I waved that car by. If you notice, I moved to the middle of the lane and waved them by. So the message says, use the other lane. That was my reason for doing that. Both of these riders have those rear view mirrors that you can put on your sunglasses or the edge of your helmet. You know, I have one sitting in my toolkit. I just never could get them to give me an image I could rely on. So I'd much rather just look under my arm and look back. Not saying they don't work. They might work for some people. It just never worked for me. I just never trusted them. And what's the point of having a mirror if you got to look back all the time anyway? So you can see from my position, just sitting in the drops like that, without even lowering my torso much, I'm very aero. And right here is a slight descent. It just didn't end up seeming as hard as it had years ago when we came through here. So I guess I need to continue to ride out here and do more climbing because Johnson Road used to be a challenge. And I think it's a combination, like I told Paul. It was at the end of a 4.5 hour intense ride. So that made a difference. Right here, they're going right and we're going left. So I tell them, I bid them farewell. I told Paul we're stopping because the car is coming.
Telling us goodbye like they don't leave us.
So what I was telling Paul is they said goodbye because I thought they were just going to ride off. And so I was like, okay, let's see what they're going to do. Because you never know.
Taking it easy.
Yeah.
So
We're not going to increase our effort.
they didn't mean anything by it. They had rolled up to us fairly casually. And they figured we're just on a leisurely ride. You know, we chatted for a bit and then they were moving on. That was cool. That's why I told them we're just tagging along. We're just going to tag it back here. This is Bailey Grove. This will take us back to the park.
Yeah.
This is the road that dog ended up chasing me on, and he's still here. I don't know if we get him on camera, but he comes out again. He doesn't come on the road, so he definitely just likes to race people. I think he's a herding dog. He stayed in the yard and he was racing. I don't know if Paul got a good shot of that, but it was the same dog.
I wasn't ready for him.
So I know where he lives. I know his house now. Because we use this road to at least get going and get back to the park. So we're going to be regulars on here.
Yep.
Yeah, it warmed up. You see, it says 26C. It ended up being a warm day. The breeze is nice.
Because when I came that time, first climb?
Yeah.
That's why I got in.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Paul, I said, I remember that road, the climb being harder than it appeared today. I mean, it just seemed like it was nothing today. I was like, come on. So I don't know. So I ended up explaining to him, I said, maybe because it was the end of a hard, long ride. We're talking a, 120 kilometer plus ride. So that could have been why. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we rode it like it was flat today. Right here, the same dog that raised me before showed up. There's the dog. There's the dog. There's the dog. He's racing me. He's in the. He never came on the road. There he is. He comes out. His yard ended.
Yeah. So that's the same dog.
That's the same guy. He's a Hardy dog.
Yeah.
He didn't come on the road. He wanted to race.
Yeah.
It's the same dog that raced me that day. Same dog. So I'm gonna remember that house when we come through here. Get ready for him. He's a racer dog.
See him, he continued in the next yard.
He stayed in his yard until it ended, and he came to see if he won or not. But he got that one. I owe him one. So with all the excursions we had, we decided that we're going to close the ride strong. All that walking around we did.
Yeah.
How is it that they come from Switzerland and find all these roads?
So what I'm telling him is these guys come from Switzerland and to find these roads. We got the locals here that don't even come out here.
Those people are serious.
You know, these guys are serious riders. They're looking for challenges.
Find all these roads. Switzerland got mountains. That's why I tell people I can go to Switzerland and climb mountains. It's the same thing. Just find it right here.
Yep.
They're looking for the road less traveled. A cyclist's dream. This road is up and down.
Yeah. She went in front to pull, and I heard her say, "Ooh." I said, "Okay, you're done."
Yeah, she was pulling, and the hill was just one hill too many for her, and she was like, "Woo!"
Yeah.
So we may not have mountains, but these little hills, they get to you.
Those guys just turn where those people turn. Obviously, we turn down.
The hills and the wind.
Go back. So start at 2854. Remember?
Yeah.
Start without. So ride, stop right way, and go back. It never came over.
You can hear the wind. It wasn't as much today until later in the ride. At this point, yeah, early in the ride, we didn't have much wind to deal with, really, compared to what we normally have. I pretty much is expected to be here now, so the day was unusual in that it didn't show up till late in the morning. At this point, I'd already called my wife and told her I was behind schedule. She wasn't too happy about it, so we decided to ramp it up and get back. It's 11:39, and so we needed to be back by noon. It ended up working out. So you see, this road goes up. You can see it says 4%. You can look at it visually. It's going up, and it gets there in a hurry. This is at the end of a ride. I love this road. So that dog over there likes to race. I'm gonna go train for him. I'll get ready for him. A little herding dog to help the farmers with the cows. That's why I like coming out here. You don't have to think about going hard. Just going up a climb like that gets the effort up. And you ride these kind of roads and you increase your frequency. Before you know it, your body fat drops You'll be able to see the lines in your skin. I mean, you just everything. You just feel good. There's a kick in your, you know, it's just a pep in your step.
Yep.
You know, just good. Just being in shape is great. Going around a curve, you can see I'm having to lean that thing. The curves were just. This road is interesting.
And something out of it.
The road is decent. It's got some ripples in it. You know, they don't keep up with it because it's not a major road, but I'll take it. You know, it's less travel, it's quiet, it's challenging, peaceful. We're riding side by side.
Yeah.
The time flies. You have a conversation while you're out there. So our plan is to find all these little roads, piece them together, just use the highways to get to them, and get a route, or multiple routes, because they have these roads all over the place. I found multiple ways to go to Shiro, and we'll use a highway called 2562. It's a quiet secondary road, but it has some nice climbs on it. The cool thing about this area is that we can go north, south, east, west, and it's just, there's so many choices. I mean, listen to that wind. Talking about the guys that we're riding with from Switzerland, they were using those little mirrors. I just could never get those things to be something I could rely upon or depend upon.
Down here with some donuts if I wanted.
But they told us see you later. I expected a hot pace, you know. But no, I mean I understand why they said that. So it was kind of cool. Cool thing about cycling, you get out there, you come across people. These are one of my favorite shorts. It's Rafa Protein Bibs. So comfortable. They just stay in place. My Santini, these really, really comfortable shorts. Identified by three or four shorts that I really like, and I gotta stay with them. You can hear the wind. I mean, it's there. Now it's finally picked up. You know, it's late in the morning. And that's when it showed up. Early in the day, we didn't have to deal with it too much.
When it got cold.
Yeah. Oh.
The road's a little bumpy. I think in a little while I start to jump the little cracks. Just messing around. I like to play with my bike. It's something that, right there, I just jumped that little crack. You need to be able to do that. Something falls in front of you, you can jump it. You can jump a log, you can jump a 2x4. That's something to play with. I saw that car back there, so I moved over. You can see how easily I look behind. You need to practice that. I made a video about that. Practice that. You can look behind like I did, or you can look under your arm. When a lot of times when you're riding hard and you don't want to make it obvious that you're keeping an eye on somebody, you can look under your arm.
They just keep riding.
You'll still be able to see. And then sometimes you look under your arm to just track a wheel that's drafting you, so you know where people are, and then you know where to place yourself. So there's no rules, just whatever comes easily for you to do.
Let you know, we're doing a long one today. Sitting side by side and talk. You just kind of tour us. Pass the time. Want to pass them, knock yourself out. They don't chase you. Keep them down.
This called Nago has a seat tube angle of 72.75, which is almost 73. Anything steeper than that, I have trouble setting my position because I sit far back.
Talk to the
I
dog.
sit more than
When you talk
11
to the
centimeters
dog,
behind the bottom bracket.
it gets their attention.
So I can't ride a steep 74-degree seat too bad.
Hey,
You gotta
listen.
behave yourself. You walk the dog. It was a girl. It was like a girl.
It has to be
Behave yourself.
preferably 72 or less. My other two bikes are 70 degrees, so I use a straight seat post on them. This one's 72, so I had to use a setback seat post.
Dogs are out here, man.
On almost 73.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
And what I'm explaining is you need to know the kind of frames that will work for you. Don't just go buy a frame.
I'll give
Get
you
somebody to help you
Yeah.
identify what frames work for you. Especially if you're a very tall rider. You know, if you're more than 5'10",
Thick and fast at the end.
you need to be careful because you might get stuck with a frame you can't fit. You don't want to jam your rails all the way back. That's what causes that.
Going back to bed, but we've been on there.
I loaded up my pockets. I've got my arm warmers, my hat, food kit, all of that in there. When you're on these quiet roads, you want to make sure you stay on your side of the road because cars can come up, especially around a corner like this, they can come up quickly. So just be aware of that. I checked, there's no cars coming. I let Paul know it's clear.
That's it.
I plan on using the shoulder anyway. I avoid what Paul just did. I avoid rolling on that white thing unless I'm going to use the main lane because it rattles you. Even though it's not as vicious as other things they've used on the roads, it's still uncomfortable a little bit. You don't want to ride on it. You can go across it. So this is the highway that takes us back to the park. And if you remember early in the ride, we're rolling downhill. I was not even pedaling. Now we're dealing with those grades. It says 26C. It's warmed up. It warmed up quickly. In about another month, that will be our normal temperature. And we'll have days that start at 26C. In the summer at night, it stays in the 80s. That's when we do more stops. We make sure we get more water and stuff like that. We're climbing here. Wind's here. We're climbing. Yeah, it says 1. It said 0, but we're climbing. You can see the road. downhills here were very slight, and you can see it's 2%. I decided I'm going to stand instead of shifting, and you just keep this gear rolling. I'm on the big chamber. I'm probably in a 23 or a 19, something like that. Even though my pockets are loaded, that jersey's not moving. Your kit fits you well, stock up the pockets and have no problems. It's a little twisted. I think I put more stuff on the other side. So I got my phone on one side. I try to avoid putting my phone and the patch kit in the same pocket because it just pulls it down too much. When you stand, make sure you get a rhythm. Get something you can maintain pretty much forever. I mean, you want to stand to where you don't change your rhythm to the point where you're blowing. If you look at my cadence, it's low. This is a long climb, so I plan on riding the whole thing out of the saddle. That's why I keep my cadence down. I'm in a heavy gear and just use my strength because your upper body can help. That's my plan. That's how you ride out of the saddle. Make sure you can hold it. Make sure you're not going to blow. Make sure you're not going to tear up your legs. That's the key. It needs to be something that you work on. Know what kind of effort you can sustain. I'm in zone 4, just at the bottom of zone 4. I know I can do this all day, so I'm not worried about it. And we're back. There are cars behind us, so I look back one more time. I let them know they're not that close, but they're coming up. You know, it's a highway, they're moving. So I cut the corner here. I didn't want them to try to pass. That's why you saw me signal and I moved closer to the yellow line so they know we're turning.
Yeah! Gonna ride under the belt.
We did it.
An adventurous ride.
That was our Saturday.
Travel and everything. You guys got a chance to get out there and get your K's in.
That's it.
Lovely day for a bike ride. Not much wind today, my brother.
Yeah. That was good.
A long time since I've said that. That's so used to wind.
Yeah.
You felt easy.
Wind in the hills, man.
Down the road like it wasn't flat. Come on. Yep. Remember, it being harder.
All football and cheer. I guess people showed up.
There's still not much for the size of this park.
Yeah.
Severely underutilized. That's what happens when you don't accommodate the masses.
Yep.
You set up stuff and it just sits.
I didn't know we had a parking on the other side. Yeah.
It makes too much sense for them to park in a different spot. Parking is grand.
that.